Talk, WCPT 820. And now overnights on WSBC 1240 AM, where facts matter.
This is WCPT 820, where facts matter.
The following program, Collaboraction Radio, is sponsored by Collaboraction, and to the extent applicable, their guests. The views and opinions expressed therein do not necessarily reflect those of Heartland Signal, LLC, or its management.
Yes, that symbol symbolizes another episode of Collaboration Radio. And he's back, ladies and gentlemen, non-binary folks. Anthony Mosley is the he that I referred to. That is me. I am back on the radio. I've been down in Texas, emceeing the Kid Stage at Austin City Limits. It's called Austin Kitty Limits. I want to shout out to all my friends down there, all my 8-year-olds and their families, and, of course, the Q brothers. But I'm glad to be back in Chicago because it's hot down there. It's like 97 degrees, and what a perfect day we have out there in Chicagoland today. It is just like air-conditioned with the sun. It's like 71 degrees. So we only get about 10 or 20 of these a year. So we got to really soak them up as the fall comes and the leaves change colors and we all get a little older every second. But there'll never be a younger you than the one listening to me right now. This is it. This is as young as you get. Whether you're 18 or 81, you're alive. Congratulations, because you're going to be dead for a long, long time. And before you were born, you were unborn for a long, long time. We get just a little blink of a God's eye. And we got a great show today. We're going to be talking about something actually really important and relevant and something I'm really proud of. And that's a new project that Collaboraction did with Everytown for gun safety, part of the Be Smart campaign. And we're going to talk about that in a moment. And I'm going to really encourage you to call in today if you want to be part of the conversation. No matter what you believe about whether people should own guns or not, we got to keep them safe. And that means safely stored, securely stored. And we're going to talk about that. But first, let me just say, you can follow us if you want to see, how gray my beard is today. Because my beard, speaking of time, when your hair starts to go gray, and really your beard, because you see it when you look in the mirror straight on. Like I can't see the back of my head, but I can look at a photo and know what year it is based on how much gray is in my beard. And I'm bringing that up for a good reason, and I have no idea what it is. I know. If you want to watch the live stream, you can go to WCPT's Facebook page, and you can see it right now. Or you can go to the Collaboraction Facebook page too, and you can check out the live stream, and you can also check us out on YouTube and find us later on SoundCloud. Because why? Because technology. And technology is accelerating at an accelerating rate, folks. And if you're over the age of, 46, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Because it was about, you're part of the last analog generation. We were the ones that were, we had dial-up phones, and we had no internet, and we had cameras with film, but now we have all these things, and I can be here in a studio yapping away, and you can hear it around the world in the future, live on your phone. So welcome to Collaboraction Radio. We're here at the intersection of art, activism, and social change. And we're here on WCPT 820 AM in the studio on North Milwaukee Avenue. Is this Jefferson Park? Yeah. In Jefferson Park. Chicago's progressive talk radio. And you can catch us later on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, anywhere you get your podcasts. And my name is Anthony Mosley. I'm the artistic director of Collaboraction. We're a 28-year-old nonprofit. Our mission is to build knowledge, empathy, dialogue, and action through artistic experiences. We started as a Chicago theater company. We honed our craft there. And then during the pandemic, we officially went multimedia. And now we've created over 200 pieces of digital content, including the Emmy Award-winning Trial in the Delta, The Murder of Emmett Till, which was part of a 42-minute piece called The Story of Emmett Till, Then and Now. Oh, The Lost Story of Emmett Till, Then and Now. And that piece went on to win a National Emmy Award. Did you hear this, Henry?
I did not. That's crazy.
Yeah, well, I didn't even know about it. We won the regional documentary with our friends at NBC, and the 17 regional documentaries get submitted for consideration for a National News and Documentary Emmy Award. The piece that we collaborated on was selected as one of the 5 nominees. I had no idea. I should have set a Google alert. No one told me. No, Collaboration did not know. And then we won it. And nobody was there to accept the award. That's how cool we are.
Absolutely.
But what an awesome honor, because it means more people are going to watch that video of the trial and the story of what happened to Emmett Till. And you could see the lost story of Emmett Till then and now on YouTube. It has 1.1 million views now. And it's going to hit 2 million before we know it. And it's important because the court reporter never filed the transcript. So they kept federal property and intellectual property and knowledge that belonged to the court system of the United States of America, and they stole it. And we've helped replace it. So that's going on. That's what we do. That's one great example. And Collaboration Radio is sponsored by the Joseph and Bessie Feinberg Foundation, an amazing foundation that is really getting behind organizations like Collaboration and Imagine Englewood If and Timeline Theater, companies that use social justice for social change. We're also sponsored by by AV Chicago. Chicago's leading provider of AV production and event management services. If you need a sound system, lights, video, LED wall, which I know every young band wants an LED wall, get your rich uncle to rent you an LED wall for your show and then take a lot of photos. And make sure you have good content on there, too. Call AV Chicago, ask for Jeremy, tell him Anthony sent you. Also, Elevoke is a sponsor, and they are a purpose-driven destination and event management company. They throw really great events. They know all the latest technology, software, gadgets. They got the 360 photo booth and on like social media you see on the red carpet, they have those slow-mo cameras and all that. They have that stuff. And they also know all the greatest caterers and live event vendors of all kinds. Elevoke. check them out. And after the show today, if you want to be part of Collaboration Radio, you can email radio@collaboraction.org. If you have a PSA you'd like us to share, if you are a nonprofit or an arts organization that's committed to social change, let us know. We'll be happy to feature you here on Collaboration Radio. I think this is episode 62, and we are still cranking. A couple quick things. Join us November 2nd for our Utopian Ball. That's our annual gala. It is, Utopia is a place we'll never get to, but it's a place that we should be striving to, so that when we pass the baton at the end of our short life, the next generation can get us a little closer. And what does that mean? It's a place where people don't have to fight for basic survival things like food and water, and not being in a war zone, and having like trees and grocery stores within like a mile or two of your Chicago neighborhood. Yeah. And it's funny, AI is scary, but it actually is helping us work towards a utopia, because it takes the most kind of menial tasks and lets fake intelligence take care of them, so we can do really cool stuff that only we can do, like watercolor our dreams. Yeah, we're building a new home at the Kimball Art Center, 1757 North Kimball in Humboldt Park, right on the 606. The Architecture Center of Chicago is having a Chicago open house, and the Kimball Art Center is on that open house. So we were tabling there today with the amazing Linda Soul, and yeah, that's the updates. Let's get into it. If you'd like to call in, we're going to be talking about gun safety and gun storage. We're going to be having a conversation in an attempt to normalize the conversation about, hey, honey, we should really get a biometric safe and put the gun in it. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. And I'd like to welcome to the show one of my new favorite collaborators and partners, Nakida McDaniel from Everytown. Nakida, are you there?
I am here. How are you doing today, Anthony?
I'm great. Hold on. I'm going to put on my Be Smart hat right now for the camera.
All right, do it.
Here we go.
You look great.
Can you see me? Are you watching it on the YouTube? Facebook?
I am multitasking and sharing and watching you and listening and ready for this conversation.
Hey, we're having a conversation about conversations. That's kind of meta. I like it. Thank you so much for joining me on a Saturday afternoon. I know that you work hard, and the lines for people like us between work and passion and fun sometimes get blurred, but I know you have so much great energy, and it was just so great to work with you and the team. And could you start by just telling everybody a little bit about you and your role at Everytown, and then we'll talk a little bit about Be Smart, and we'll talk a little bit about our partnership, and then we're actually going to play the audio from some of the PSAs.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you so much. Well, my name is Nakida McDaniel, and my pronouns are she, her. I started with Everytown and Moms Demand Action about 11 years ago as a volunteer leader, and then joined staff. I actually just had my work anniversary for 8 years. My role that I am in at Everytown is I am the Associate Director of Community Engagement, which landed me in the work that I am doing, or was doing, and will continue to do around secure storage of firearms and our program Be Smart that we're going to talk about a little later. As you said earlier, I was listening to you and how we want to normalize the conversation around safe storage of firearms. A lot of times the conversation can look different in different communities, and we want to make sure that we're including everybody and we're reaching everybody in ways that are most impactful. So my job is to connect our volunteer leaders with community partners and see how we can deepen our relationships to normalize conversation in community and to change the culture of how we see guns in our community so everybody can be safe.
Amazing. And you make a great point about different communities have different cultures, and therefore they have different communication styles, and it's not a one-size-fit-all world. If you want to really make sure that everybody is part of this conversation, you have to think about how you create the communications. And the Everytown and the Be Smart team, I was just so impressed by the layers of care around crafting the right communication, and it was really amazing. Before we get into that, though, Nakida, tell me a little bit about your life. Where were you born? What were you doing before Everytown? When did this work start to manifest in your life for you?
Well, I was working in my community. I am from Winston-Salem, North Carolina, born and raised, and still live there or here. And gun violence, just like it's happening all over the country, was happening in my city. And as a community organizer, just realizing that I wanted to do something more about gun violence than putting a Band-Aid on it. And at that point in my life, I didn't really have an organization that I could work alongside or work with and be a part of. And that was until Moms Demand Action came along. And I met this wonderful, amazing group of moms that took me in and were like, guess what? You know, we accept you as you are. You're this wild woman that's out here trying to save the world, and you work 60 hours a week. And I think we could work with your schedule and see if we could work together to make sure that we're impacting gun violence across all of the communities. I am a Black woman and definitely concerned about Black community. And so I wanted to make sure that we weren't leaving my community out. And Moms was the place that I was able to do that in a lot of different ways. I was very attracted to the organization because I liked the fact that we were, advocating for on a legislative level. I am a firm believer that we got to address issues on all levels. And also, we have to make sure that we are civically engaged with our government, whether it's on the local, state, or federal level. And I found that place at Moms Demand Action. And then I also just really appreciated the fact that it was about that, and it was also about the fact that we have to change the culture of how guns are seen in our communities. And I fell in love with Be Smart. Be Smart is, to me, I think it's something that we all can do because it's about educating community in very simple ways. Whether you own a gun or you don't own a gun, the SMART is actually an acronym. I don't know if I'm getting ahead of us, but I think it's important
please.
For me to say this. But SMART is actually an acronym that teaches folks things that they can do to make sure that we're being safe with guns. The S is just simply making sure that folks are securing all guns in their homes and their vehicles. The M stands for model responsible behavior around guns. I think that's something that we all can do. And then the A is just ask, which this one really touched me because at the time, my children were children. They were kids, and I would let them go stay over at folks' house. And I would ask them, if they had firearms in the home, and if they did, how did they store those firearms? Were they properly stored? So I didn't leave my kids with anybody unless I asked about firearms in the home. And I think we all can do that because there's lots of intentional shootings, unintentional shootings that happen every year. And then the R just stands for just recognize the role of guns in suicide. And then finally that T, tell your peers just simply to be smart about guns. And so just normalizing that conversation and doing these things really saves lives. And it's not a political thing. We talk about politics, but this is not political. This is something that we all can do. And then that attracted me to the movement, and that's why I'm here today. And still, I'm going to be here until we end gun violence. How about that?
Yeah, exactly. And thank you for breaking that down for everyone because it is really straightforward. And it's It's so obvious, right? It's everybody. There's no. How could you be against safe gun storage? And I'm sure some people are, but come on, let's if you own a gun, keep it safe. And what are the ways people can do that?
Yeah, making sure that you're properly storing it. We talk about biometric safes, and then there are these gun locks. Our Moms Demand Action volunteer leaders are consistently giving out gun locks in communities as well as other organizations. We do this for free. The biometric safes are a little bit more expensive, but they're affordable. You don't own a gun, you can own a biometric safe. And people they tend to lean towards those because they're easy to get into. So once people understand that there are options to making sure that you're securely storing your firearm and not storing it with the ammunition, right? You got to make sure you're storing those separately, and making sure that they don't get into the hands of the wrong hands, and the wrong hands sometimes can be our babies. You know, they can, and that can lead to an unintentional shooting, and that happens a lot. Maybe we don't all know, but I'll just say it right here, right now. You know, guns are the leading cause of death for our children and our teens in America. And every single year, nearly 360 children under the age of 18 gain access to a firearm. And that firearm is unintentionally used to either shoot themselves or someone else. And that's roughly one unintentional shooting per day. And that's one too many.
Wow. You know, this is a perfect segue into listening to one of the PSAs, part of the new Be Smart campaign. Collaboraction got tapped to join the folks at Be Smart and the community partners involved to co-create 6 different public service announcements about safe gun storage, 3 in English and 3 in Spanish. And do you have the basketball one? Can you tell? Yeah, that's it. So, Nakida, we're gonna go ahead and do the one about bringing guns to school. Do you want to set it up?
Let's do it.
All right, let's do it.
You won't believe what happened yesterday.
What?
Caught my little brother trying to sneak a piece to school.
Oh. How'd you find out about it?
Fell out of his backpack as he was walking out the door.
You got lucky, man. You don't keep it locked up?
Nah, I keep it in a shoebox on the top shelf of my closet.
That's not secure enough, bro. You know how these kids are these days. They know you got a gun and they want it, they'll find it. Like Christmas presents.
He said he needed it for protection. There's a little kid who's been running around talking about he gonna beat him up.
Gun ain't gonna solve the problem. We gotta protect our little brothers from things like this. One mistake could change their lives forever. I mean, you know that.
Yeah, you're right. He just so hard-headed though, man. He do what he want.
I mean, you have to help him do what he want. We gotta be smart about things like this.
I heard that. What you think I should do?
You gotta talk to him. I mean, the gun only gonna make things worse. Either way, you need to get yourself a biometric safe.
What's that?
It's a gun safe that you can put your fingerprint to. Pops right open.
I'm on it, bro.
Yeah, you need to.
But it stopped raining, so I'm gonna get one as soon as I get through giving you this beat down.
All right, man, don't play yourself like that, man. You ready for this? All right, which one? All right, let me show you. See? Yeah! Told you. Check out. Talk like this. Oh, my God.
All right. Well, it sounds good on radio, doesn't it?
It does, and I was just sitting here as I was listening to it, and when I was talking about the biometric safe, I was taking my thumb and moving it in a circular motion as if I was, like, you could see me doing that. But yeah, it sounded good.
Yeah.
And it just reminded me of the power of mixing the arts with social justice type issues, which I like. Collaboration is the mother and king of being able to do that. And I'm so thankful that we were able to meet you all and do this work together.
Yeah. You know, what's special is that, we're not an advertising firm. We're
That's right.
We're playwrights and poets. And so we really care about the characters and the story, and we are also social justice advocates, and we believe in using our work to inspire new conversations. That's our whole thing. I don't know if we've talked about it, is we make work to inspire new knowledge, empathy, dialogue, and action. And so normalizing conversations, making stories to get that dialogue, which is what we're trying to do, is to get people to be more willing to talk about, hey, you got a gun? Hey, mom. Hey, brother. Hey, friend. Lock it up. Don't let it just be loose in the house in a shoebox. I mean, how many stories since I've started working with you, I've heard so many people talk about shoeboxes. Like, when did shoeboxes become a safe place to put your gun? It's just, and like you said, 360. And it happens all way too often, and we all know about it because the media always tells us all about it every time it happens. We've normalized hearing about gun violence. We got to normalize helping each other curb our behavior. But anyways, what's really exciting is that we are able to write the stories in an intimate, personal setting. And we were able to meet and make community with some amazing community partners that you brought together here in Chicago. Can you talk a little bit about the community partners and share a little bit about the magic you found working with these groups in our Chicagoland area?
Oh, my gosh, yes, that just made my heart smile and my face. So the work really began a little over a year ago, and we began to work with, I began to work with our Moms Demand Action volunteer leaders in Chicago. And we have a common person. You and I, Collaboraction and Moms Demand Action, has a common person, and that's Maria Pike. Maria Pike was the first person who really brought the moms together and thought about the community partners that we could bring to the table to just have a conversation about Be Smart and what we could do as an organization to work together with the partners, equip them with some things that they may need as they're working with the community. And we initially knew that we could give them supplies, like we could make sure that they had all of the materials to share. And then we wanted to hear, what else do you need? And these ideas kept coming out. And I can never promise people something that I can't deliver, but I will tell you, I'll listen to you and say, guess what? I'm going to take back what I heard and see what we can do. And one of the things that the partners, and I'm going to name them in just a second, those partners were like, it would be nice if we could have some type of a role playing that played out these incidences with guns that could relate to Black and brown communities. And so here I am. I'm a trainer. So, trainers sometimes use role playing as a tactic to teach a skill in a training. And I'm thinking about, do I need to put y'all up here and we come up with a script? Because I'm not the arts person that does what y'all do. But Maria just so happened to be one of your board members, and she thought about Collaboraction. And so we took the ideas back to my colleagues, and we were like, guess what? They do some amazing work. Let's see what they can do here. And those partners, shout out to Precious Blood Ministry of Reconciliation, Inglewood Community Action Council, Mothers and Men Against Senseless Killings, or MASK, Sacred Ground Ministries, and Chicago Youth Boxing Club. Those groups, like, they really came with their heart and their passion. And then the next time we came there, after we got these conversations out and had some time for them to work on the ground with materials for a few months, we brought y'all in, and you all had a very candid conversation about what this could look like, if we put it in action. And I really applaud y'all because, as you said, y'all, you do work in the theater, but you're also advocates. You're also community organizers. So the way that you facilitated that conversation really brought out the best of the best ideas so that you could take it back and create what you had. So myself and my partner, or my colleague Stephanie Stone, who works for on our survivor team, she's also a survivor of gun violence, but I think she was very instrumental in helping you all to pull those things out in that conversation. And I could not have ever imagined that what you all created was what you did create. And I think that is just an extra tool that people have that can help these conversations to start, because they're very real life things that can happen. The one that you just shared with the basketball and talking about the guns being in the school, like, is it okay for us to talk about how we want to protect our brothers, our little brothers, and our little sisters out here, and how it's on us to do that? We can't expect for anybody else to do it. But if you know something about how I can store my gun properly and you share it with somebody else that you trust, then that can impact your behavior, more than if someone who doesn't know someone, have a conversation like that. So just shout out to y'all for just doing amazing work and taking this and being able to make it a reality, and our community partners.
Thank you so much. Yeah, and the community partners are amazing that you all brought together. But you know what? Chicago's got 200 of these incredible community organizations that really hold the whole city up, and they don't get the credit that is due to them. But guess what? They don't even care about the credit. They do it for the work, and I know that's what you're all about too, Nakida, and it means a lot.
I want to know all of them.
Yeah, there's a lot of them, and I helped organize a Chicago Peace Summit with the Wu-Tang Foundation in 2015, and we brought 40 companies together, and it was amazing because we broke down the barriers. The city is so segregated. Everybody's in its own little bucket. It's like Epcot World up here, and a city of neighborhoods. That means you stay in your neighborhood and I'll stay in mine, and it's hurt us. It's hurt us so much, and so I've been really. It's for me and Collaboration. 2012 marks the year that we went from kind of a contemporary theater company to a theater for social change. And we created a piece called Crime Scene in Chicago Anthology, a docudrama about the root cause of violence in Chicago. And I was so ignorant, I actually didn't know the answer. I really said, I want to make a piece of theater exploring, the epidemic of street violence. And I knew, but I didn't know. And that started my personal journey to learn how to really understand the epidemic of violence and inequity in Chicago that masquerades as racism, but really it's a form of classism and it's a form of colonialism. But and I don't know if you know this, but I got connected to Moms Demand Action because in 2015, I co-wrote and co-directed a scene about Hydea Pendleton with her mother Cleopatra. And Cleo came, into rehearsals with me, and we made a scene about Hydea's death and funeral, and her friends coming together on her 18th birthday to have a bonfire in her memory. And of course, you know the story of Hydea Pendleton, right?
Yes. Look how our work is coming full circle,
yeah.
though. How we come back around and met.
Yeah. Yes. And that's
absolutely, I know it.
But I was much more ignorant than I am today. And I ignorance is not a bad thing to me. It's just the reality. We're all born with 99% ignorance, and through the course of our life, we can wipe some of that away. And so I have. Me and the team and the company, we've grown to the point that someone like you can see that we bring value to the table. So you saying that is a big deal because it wasn't like that 10 years ago. But the thing is that we've stayed in the game. You know, too many people, especially when working with difficult material, you know, and in the world of inequity and social injustice, they get fragile or feel guilty, and they just go home and they take their ball and they stop progressing. And Collaboraction is really about staying in the game. Like you said, you got to commit your life to this. It takes a whole life to move a needle like this. And I like your commitment to ending gun violence, Nakida. I'm with you 100% on that. Let's go ahead and listen to a second PSA. And you guys who are listening, you can see all of them on the Be Smart website, and we'll tell you where to go find that in a little bit. Henry, let's do number 2.
No.
911, what's your emergency?
My car got broken into and my gun was in there. Your gun? You left your gun in the glove box? I know. With my hospital shifts, I'm coming and going at all times. I need that gun for protection. I hear that. Are you okay? I can't stop thinking about what's going to happen to that gun. Tracy's son, he was killed by a stolen gun. Hey, that's not going to happen. Be real. Stolen guns can still be used in crimes. Well, there's nothing you can do about it now, so... I just didn't think this would happen. Does Willie leave his gun in the car? Not usually, but when he does, he put it in the box. A box? Yeah, a lock box under the passenger seat. I'll have to look into that. I gotta be smart about this. Hand me another strip. I don't know how you do that with those long nails of yours. Girl, don't be mad at me because your nails are busted. Don't start with me.
Wow. So that was another PSA co-written by Sandra Delgado and Willie Round. And that was featuring Sapphire Snow and... Oh, it's going to take me a minute to find the other actor's name. I will find it, though. But that piece was really addressing people keeping guns in their car without having them be locked up. I mean, your car is just a bedroom on wheels, inviting different people to get into it. And I'm not talking metaphorically here. I'm just saying you have your belongings in your car. And I mean, how often do we just forget to lock our car? Never mind, have a gun in it. And actually, Willie Round, the co-writer, just actually told us a story about a truck hit a bunch of vehicles all parked in a row, 10 of them. And when the people from the festival came out to see that their cars had been hit, half of them were like, "Oh, I got a gun in that car." And they weren't locked up. What should someone do for their car, Nakida? Can you clarify the best practice for gun storage in a vehicle?
They should definitely keep them in a lockbox, the same way, and they should store their ammunition separately, the same way, and not just put them in the glove compartment. And thinking that you lock your car so it's safe, because people crash windows every day to get into cars. So we just have to be smart once again and make sure that we're properly storing those firearms, even when they're in our cars. The guns that are stolen from cars are actually wind up in crimes. They can actually be used in crimes, and it's sad that a lot of times, and I have definitely been impacted by that as well. Stephanie Stone, even though her son Paul was killed and the gun was stolen, it wasn't stolen from a car, it was stolen from a house. And I just remember having the conversation that we were having in that group that day, and it was a tough conversation, because these are conversations that we have with people who has actually been impacted. And it just hurts to see that. So we just got to be smart and not think that it's okay, because we never know when somebody's going to break into our car, Anthony. We don't know that. And I think that PSA just led to us talking about that and having a conversation about it. And maybe when people hear it, it'll make them think, about getting the safe that they need to properly store their guns.
And because in the vehicle, it's a safe that's made for cars, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So that was Alexis Ward in that scene with Sapphire Snow. And didn't the audio sound good? I mean, did you hear that duct tape rip? That was amazing. Henry, can we hear that duct tape rip again? Just the duct tape. And in the first video, PSA audio, that was Willie Round, our co-writer with Russian Carter. And yeah, if you want to join the conversation, you can call in at 773-763-WCPT. That's 773-763-9278. I'm talking to Nakida McDaniel of Everytown for gun safety, and we're talking about the Be Smart campaign, normalizing conversations around gun safety and gun storage. And we've created 6 PSAs in total. We have 3 in English, and then we have 3 in Spanish. And the 3 in Spanish are the same concept and setup and story, but they are in Spanish instead of English, and they have a different cast. And I have to say, I've never done anything like that. It was way harder than I thought it was going to be. We're very lucky to have the amazing Sandra Delgado on our team because she helped tie everything together. But the Spanish pieces are just as powerful and important. And you can. What's the website that folks can go to, Nakida? Do you have it handy?
Let me make sure I get it. I got it. Give me 1 second. I'm going to reply to this.
I think
you got it? Okay.
You go to the besmartforkids.org. That's BE Smart for FOR kids.org. And then you click the menu and go to the Smart Conversations link. And you can watch all 6 of these videos, and then you can share them. You can go to the YouTube and share them with your parents group at your school. Share them with the people you work with. Share them with the person that you know that may have a gun without a safe, or maybe even buy that person a birthday present. How much do the safes cost, by the way? What are we talking?
The last time I checked, they're like maybe a couple of $100. I also wanted to add too that you hit on it, but the way that you store them in your car safely, the way that the boxes are located, they're actually special places. They are options that they specifically store them in your vehicles. The safes, like they can be in the trunk, or they can be in different places in the car, under the seat, but they can be properly stored. But it's a reasonable price. If you can afford to buy a gun, you can afford to keep it safe. And there is a movement in many places I've been talking where people are looking, or organizations are looking for ways to get these or buy these safe storage lock places so you can put your guns other than the traditional locks that we give out at these different places. So it's a movement. So if there are people listening that are part of organizations that care about this issue, see if you can find some grant money to buy these biometric safes. And when you have your community events, maybe you can give them away, just like we give away. We want to normalize that too. We want to normalize giving away all these different ways to store your guns properly, and making sure that the ammunition is not stored in the same place. And then every state has different laws around how you store guns in your vehicle. So you also just need to make sure that you're checking with your state laws and that you are in alignment with how your state says you should properly be storing your firearms in your vehicles, because that's very, very important. Gun laws are not the same in every state. They're different.
And what about the person that says, if I need my gun, I need it quickly?
Oh yeah, that's a conversation we hear a lot across different cultures and communities. It's a hard conversation to have. However, there's a young lady I know that when she does presentations in community, and she's a veteran, she shows people how she doesn't bring her gun with her, but she brings her box, and she shows people how quickly you can get into that box and you can load your gun, get to your ammunition to be able to get to it. So I think that's part of what we have to recognize, too, is that it's not as hard as it seems to get to it when you need to get to it, even if it's properly stored. So just breaking down that myth of, like, you can't get to it quick enough by actually showing people that you can.
You put your thumb on it, it pops open.
Yeah, and maybe I'm sitting here thinking, like, is that something that people need to feed more to? That they can,
Sounds like a good PSA to me, Nakida. Let's do it. We got to get you back to Chicago as it is, don't we?
Yeah, I mean, it's so much work in Chicago that's happening, amazing work. Like you said, y'all have so many different groups. It took me a while to kind of even understand the geography of the city.
Yeah.
But everywhere I go, there are these amazing groups doing amazing work, and I would love to I'm going to continue to work in Chicago with these amazing folks and our volunteer leaders who are out working and building authentic relationships. We're not looking to build transactional relationships with people. We're looking to build relationships with people where you really trust someone and you know that your liberation is connected with that person.
Yeah.
So it doesn't, gun violence is a big problem. And I was taught when I first started doing community organizing over 20 years ago that you cannot address a problem until you break that problem into issues. And when you break that problem into issues, what you see is that there are a lot of systemic issues that impact people, right, that lead up to gun violence. And so when you come into a community and people are talking about their housing, when people are talking about they don't have the resources, they don't have the workforce development, they don't have the money in their communities, right, or in our communities. Because I live in a city where I live 2 blocks away from where I grew up from. I can get to that neighborhood, but at the end of the day, we have to see that our liberation is really connected to each other, and we have to practice empathy when building relationships with people and understand what those issues are as well, because we can't just win by just thinking that we're talking about, it's just gun violence. Because that's a big problem, Anthony, and we have to recognize that when we're building relationships. So you're definitely not seeing me for the last time in Chicago.
Wow. Thank you for sharing all that. You are so full of knowledge, and you're so good at clearly communicating it in a way that is firm, but there's love behind it. And it's probably why you're so good at doing what you do. The pandemic really was tough. It really brought out a lot of mental health issues. I as a theater artist, I went through a grieving process for the loss of the thing I had built my whole life around, which was being in a room together with people and experiencing losing yourself in the story of someone else, and then my family lost a lot of people to COVID, lost someone to suicide. We lost a lot of people. I mean, we lost 9 people during the pandemic. Now, so it was, so I went through a lot. My wife and I, our families went through a lot. But the young people, if you're under 18 and you were in school, but if you were under 18 and in school, we still don't know exactly the full impact of lockdown on our young people. And my daughter was in 7th grade, and that's just when you're just getting into puberty. You're just starting to know who you are on the other side of a little kid. And, it had a huge impact on our teenagers. And I want to play this last piece because it's really important. And it's about social media and it's about our teenagers.
It's smelling good.
Give it a taste.
That is good. Now, I would have chopped the onions a little smaller, but...
You. Sit down. Is that Jason? He better be home for dinner.
No, it's Beverly.
Beverly from church?
No, Brian's mom.
Jason's friend. Is everything okay?
Brian posted something on social media. Something about killing himself.
What?
She's wondering if Jason mentioned anything to us about Brian being depressed.
No, he's always in such good spirits. If he was depressed, you'd never know it.
It looks like his girlfriend broke up with him. And, baby, we gotta lock up our gun.
Our gun? Where'd that come from? Jason's not gonna take our gun. That's not him.
All it takes is one bad day.
Jason's fine. He's
a teenager. You just said you never think Brian was depressed. Look at this. Why would we take a chance? We gotta be smart about this. This is something easy we can do.
You're right.
Just like I'm right about those onions.
Take your phone and go search gun safes.
Yes, chef.
That was the third PSAs. We have Spanish versions of those same stories, and you can check those out at besmartforkids.org. Click the menu and look at Smart Conversations. Nakida, thank you so much for joining us on Collaboraction Radio. Is there anything you want to leave our listeners with about the work of Everytown or Be Smart?
Yeah, I just want to thank you all for having me here, and just also just say, this is not a one organization issue. This is an issue that we work on with everybody. It's going to take all of us to solve it, and there's a place for everybody in this movement, and we recognize that, and we are looking to continue this work with as many organizations and communities as we can, because we recognize that we're not the only ones, and it's going to take us all.
That's right. In the words of Gwendolyn Brooks, we are each other's harvest. We are each other's magnitude of bond. We are each other's business. Nakida McDaniel, thank you so much for joining me on this Saturday on Collaboraction Radio, and for working with and alongside Collaboraction. I hope we can do it again, and I look forward to pushing out and starting conversations about normalizing the conversation around safe gun storage as we share these 6 PSAs with the world.
Yes, let's do it. Let's continue this work until no more gun violence.
Let's do it. I'm in.
Yes, I am too.
Have a great Saturday evening. Thanks for calling in, and I look forward to our next collaboration.
Yes, take care of yourself and be well.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, that was Nakida McDaniel, Collaboration's partner with Everytown. Check out those PSAs if you get a chance. You can also see the basketball one is on Collaboration's Facebook and Instagram right now. And if you have a gun, get it biometric safe. There's no reason not to have it locked up. It's a very dangerous thing. And if you know somebody who has a gun, ask them if they have a safe. And if you have a child and they're going to sleep over somebody's house, just say, "Hey, do you guys have a gun?" If you do, is it locked up? There's nothing wrong with that conversation. Actually, it's one we should all be having. Next week on Collaboration Radio, we are going to be joined by Matthew LaChapelle. Matthew is an actor, writer, dancer. He thinks he's like in the WWE, but he hasn't quite made it there yet. But with your help, he'd be a great, broadcaster, commentator on the WWE. Matthew LaChapelle, longtime Collaboraction associate and part of the family. He's got a great video that we produced. It's called Never Give Up. It's on Collaboraction's YouTube channel. You can go check that out. Matthew will be in the studio telling you his story, his very unique, special story of his journey as an artist. I can't wait for you to listen. And Matthew works with the Able Ensemble, which has a show November 2nd. Check out the Able Ensemble and have a great day. You know, you're alive and you won't always be. So, you know, maybe live the rest of the day like through the lens of everything you see is an absolute miracle, including the apparatus that is seeing. And, you know, we all have bad days. We all have bad moments, and that's because the world is complicated. But don't forget, you are a living, breathing miracle. There'll never be a better you than you. It's not possible. So just do your best every day. Give yourself lots of grace and get out there and enjoy a beautiful Saturday night in Chicago.
The preceding program, Collaboraction Radio, was sponsored by Collaboraction. And to the extent